accord, concurrence of opinion, evident, clearly relevant to the mind or the sense or judgment, practice, a customary way of operation or behavior, intent, have in mind as a purpose, concern, something that is interested you because it is important, commit, performance and act, usually with a negative connotation, issue, some situation or event, issue, some situation or event that is thought about, approach, move towards, establish, set up or found, utter, without qualification, without qualification. No one can blame an honest mechanic for holding a wealthy snob in utter contempt. Ingersoll Robert Greene. Conduct, direct the course of, manage or control. Scientists have been conducting studies of individuals' genes for years. Engage, consume all of one's attention or time. We have nearly 200 passengers who were seated about on sofas reading or playing games or engage in conversation. Obtain, come into possession of. He delayed making the unclassified report public while awaiting an Army review, but Rolling Stone magazine obtained the report and posted it Friday night. Scarce, deficient in quantity or number compared with the demand. Scarce. Deficiency in quantity or number compared with the demand. Policy, a plan of action adopted by individual or social group. Straight, successive, without a break. Straight. After 3 straight losing seasons of straight, successive, without a break. After 3 straight losing seasons. Stock, capital raised by a corporation through the issue of shares. In other words, Apple stocks is cheap and you should buy it. Apparent, clearly relevant to the mind or the sense or judgment, but the early clerk is beginning to become apparent in McCarthy's voice. Apparent, clearly relevant to the mind or the sense or judgment. Property, a basic or essential attribute shared by members of a class. Property. Owning these magic properties, it was often planned near dwelling to keep away evil spirits. Fancy, imagine, conceive. Of, see in one's mind. For a time, indeed, he had finance. That thing were change. Concept, an abstract or general idea inferred from specific instance. As a psychologist, I have always found the concept of speed dating fascinating. Concept. An abstract or general idea inferred from specific instance. As a psychologist, I have always found the concept of speed dating fascinating. Court, an assembly to conduct judicial business. When Brown pleaded not guilty to assaulting Rihanna, their violence passed their violence past came out in court. Appoint, assign a duty, responsibility, or obligation to. In 1863, he was appointed by General Assembly professor of Oriental language at New College. Passage, a section of text, particularly a section of medium length. Passage, a section of text, particularly a section of medium length. His interpretation of many obscure scriptures, passage by means of native manners and customs and traditions is particularly helpful in informing. Vain, unproductive of success. Vain, unproductive of success. Vain, unproductive of success. An attempt was made to ignore this brilliant and irregular book, but in vain, it was read all over Europe. Instance, an occurrence of something. In many instances, large districts or towns will be fewer representatives than smaller ones, or perhaps none at all. Instance, an occurrence of something. In many instances, coast, the shore of a sea or ocean. Project, a planned undertaking. Project, a planned undertaking. The funds are aimed at helping build public projects, including mass transits, electricity networks, water utilities, and ports in said. Commission, a special group delegated to consider some matters. Commission, a special group delegated to consider some matters. The developers are now seeking approval. The developers are now seeking approval from the Landmarks Commission. Constant, a quantity that does not vary. Constant, a quantity that does not vary. In 1929, Hubble independently put forward and confirmed the same idea, and the parameter later became known as the Hubble constant. Circumstance. One's overall condition in life. The circumstance leading up to the shooting was not immediately available. Constitute, compose or represent. Oil and natural gas constitute almost 50% of Russian government revenue last year. Level, a relative position or degree of value in a graded group. Level, a relative position or degree of value in a graded group. Only last month did the men's and women's unemployment rates reach the same level. Effect, have an influence upon. The central bank will start distributing low interest loans in early March in the individual and small and medium-sized companies affected by the flooding. Effect, institute, set up or lay the groundwork. Render, give an interpretation of. Appeal, be attractive to. Generate, bring into existence. Theory, a well-sustained explanation of some aspect of the world. Range, a variety of different things or activities. Campaign, a race between candidates for elevated offices. League, an association of sport teams to the organized match. Labor, any piece of work that is undertaken or attempted. Confer, have a meeting in order to talk something over. Grant, allow to have. Dwell, think moodily or anxiously about something. Dwell, think moodily or anxiously about something. Entertain, provide amusement for. Contract, a binding agreement that is enforced by the law. Contract, a binding agreement that is enforceable by law. Earnest, Characteristics by a firm humorless belief in one's opinion. Earnest. Earnest. Too much praise cannot be given to the earnest and efficient. Too much praise cannot be given to the earnest and efficient missionary who founded and have maintained this mission. Earnest. Characterized by a firm, humorless belief in one's opinion. Earnest. Yield. Give or supply. It is very important on honey plant. As it yields an exceptional pure nectar and remains in bloom a long time. Wonder. Move or cause to move in a sinuous or circular course. Wonder. Move or cause to move in a sinuous. Move or cause to move in a sinuous or circular course. Insist. Be empathetic or resolute and refuse to budge. Insist. Be empathetic or resolute and refuse to budge. Knight. A person of noble birth trained to arms and chivalry. Knight. A person of noble birth trained to arm and chivalry. Convince. Make realize the truth or validity of something. Inspire. Serve as an inciting cause. Inspire. Serve as inciting cause. Of. Convention. A large form of assembly. Convention. Last year, the industry main trade convention, the inside skill and ability that has been acquired by training. Hurry. Annoy conditionally or chronically. Financial. Involving physical matter. Reflect. Show an image of. Novel. An extended fiction work in prose. Novel. An extended fictional work in prose. Interesting. Furnish. Provided with objects or articles that make a room usable. Furnish. Provide with objects or articles that make a room usable. Compel. Force somebody to do something. Compel. Force somebody to do something, but the flame grew too large, compelling firefighters to call off the rescue. Venture. Proceeds somewhere in despite the risk of possible dangers. Venture. Proceed somewhere despite the risk of possible dangers. Ventures. Territory. The geographical area under the jurisdiction of a state. Territory. The geographical area under the jurisdiction of a state. Temper. Characteristic state of feeling. Bent. Fix in your purpose. Bent. Fix in your purpose. Intimate. Marked by close acquaintance, association, or familiarity. Undertake. Enter upon an activity or enterprise.